Hey everyone, Tracy Jackson here, the Tax Savvy Nurse. And in this video, I'm going to share with you one of the best tools that nurses can use to track their expenses during the year so that they can really maximize their tax return in 2019. So just for those of you that don't know me, I help nurses and health professionals to really pay the least amount in taxes while increasing their cash flow so that they can find freedom away from the bedside. So the other thing I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to share with you my 5 tips for getting the best use out of this tool, okay? So why is this important? If you are a nurse, especially the nurses that are home health nurses or travel nurses or nurse consultants, especially if you get paid with a 1099, the best way that I can put this is that from a nursing brain is if we didn't document it, we didn't do it. Okay, so I'm going to say it again. If we didn't document it, then we didn't do it. So it never happened. So for a lot of us at the end of tax time, and I know that I am a culprit of this as well, that I will wait and just collect all my receipts and then try to figure everything out when it's tax time, and it makes tax time very, very stressful. So we want to try to eliminate that, but not only that, we want to make sure that we are not missing out on any money, especially if you are a travel nurse, because you need to have certain documentation to really show that you have a valid tax home in order to get those tax-free or to qualify for the tax-free stipends, which tends to make up a lot of the income and the money that you're making. So really tracking these things is important. Now, I want to say this as well. Under the new tax law, there were some changes to where you are no longer able to deduct your employee expenses, so that in some cases hurt a lot of nurses, especially those travelers or nurse consultants. However, whatever portion is reimbursed by your employer is okay. You just won't be able to take any additional deductions on top of that, which a lot of nurses were doing because of their travel expenses, their meal expenses that weren't reimbursed, and other things that they paid for that were job related. So I do actually have another video that's going to go more into detail, because that's a big question on what we can and can't deduct under the new tax code. So look for that. But I will tell you what you would want to typically track. So especially if you are a nurse that also has a business, you definitely need to be tracking things. It's so important. So what are you going to be tracking? You can put things in this tool like how much you pay for rent, how much you're spending on meals, how much you're spending on travel, any kind of mileage. So it does track mileage, which is really cool. You definitely need to be tracking mileage that is related to your travel assignments or your business if your nurse has a business, or if you're home health and things like that. And the reason why is because the mileage reimbursement was, the mileage rate was increased to 58 cents a mile. So that mileage can really add up. Again, that's for if you have a business, all right, the 58 cents a mile. If you are a travel nurse, then pretty much you're only entitled to whatever your employer or your recruiter or the company that you're working for is going to reimburse you for. You can no longer take the difference of that. All right, so that's a whole nother topic, a whole nother video, but I wanted to really outline pretty much why would we be using this tool? Why are we documenting? And it's pretty much because, again, if you're a travel nurse, you want to make sure that when it comes time to show that you qualify for those stipends, that you have the documentation to show it. Or again, if you're a home health nurse, or if you're working as a contractor and things like that. So I'm going to show you the tool. All right. So here's, first of all, how do you get the tool? You can go to taxbot.com. All right. So you just go to your browser, click in, type in taxbot.com, and the cost of the tool, once you register for it, you can either, I believe it's $10 a month, or you can pay $100 a year one time. So it's a really cheap tool, but it's very powerful. There are free tools, and I'm going to show you some other ways to track your expenses, because I don't know, I'm kind of weird. Like, I love tracking stuff. I love numbers and spreadsheets. And I used to do mine on a spreadsheet, but this, and I'm going to show you that, but this makes it a lot easier because the calculations are done for you and there's a lot more that you can do. So the other way is I do have this tool available free in our financial program that we have. So a lot of or some of my customers do get it for free, which is a huge, huge value as well. So you can get it for free, or you can just go ahead. If you don't, if you're not in our financial program, then you can just purchase it. All right. So up here in the corner is my total deduction tally going on, right, for the first 6 months of the year, or I guess first, yeah, 6 months of the year. And under this part here, you see the trips or the mileage part. You will want to put everything that you're doing that is related to your assignments in here regarding travel. I'm not going to go into what qualifies. Like I said, I'll do that in another video, but here's my list of everything that I've documented so far. So when I go to market, different events to market, now my business, I have several businesses, so I actually have them separated in here to where I can name which business it is. So if it's my tax business or my financial program, I have that in here. So if I travel to any events, if I go to meet with a client, anything like that. So that's for me. Now for nurses, if you are doing anything that's related to your assignment, as far as travel, you will want to document that. And I'll again go over the details of what will qualify for you all. But just know that on your app, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to sign up for the program. Once you get it, you're going to download the app, and then I document my mileage through there. So if you're going to be, let's say you're a travel nurse and you're doing several assignments, you'll want to turn your mileage feature on, and then it's going to automatically track your mileage for the full day. Or if you want to just do it to and from one location, you can do that as well. So when you document your mileage, you want to make sure that you put the address or the location of where you're going to and where you're coming from, and then whether it's round trip. So it's very, very simple. Now, let me just go up here to the settings part. Once you actually, I mean, it's very simple. It takes about 5 minutes to set everything up. You can add bank accounts. You can add the name of your vehicle. You can add what businesses that you have, so that when you go to document the expense, you can say what business it is or what purpose it is. Now for this part, the way I would set it up, if you, and I put an example in here, if you're a travel nurse and you have different assignments, you're going to have different contracts for those assignments. And so what you could do to separate it just for documentation or purposes, or just for ease of going to look back for information, you could simply add a assignment in here. So let's say you had a travel assignment in California, you can put California ICU assignment, and that way once you're documenting all those expenses, you can just classify for that assignment. So that assignment might be what, 12 weeks, 8 weeks, 15 weeks, or whatever. And so once that ends and you move on to your next assignment, you can just simply add another assignment by clicking add here, and type that. So it's a really great idea for separating your expenses, because it makes it easier. Let's say you're tax professional, or you yourself need to go look up an expense that you might have had for a specific assignment, or how much you traveled on a specific assignment, so, and that type of thing. So you can really use this tool to customize it however you need it, so that you can really be organized. You guys, organization is power, okay? It really, really is. And it makes it so much easier for you. But not only that, like I said, you're going to make sure that you're going to get every penny back that you are entitled to, okay? So here's where you add the bank accounts. Now, one thing I'll say about the bank account, once you set up your account, sometimes the feature is not active to where you can connect your bank account. So you may have to call the, click on technical help, and call customer service, they can literally just open that feature up for you. That was just for me. It may work for you automatically or maybe not. So you can always call and do that. And you can always add different categories of expenses and of income as well. We'll look at that in a second. So that's just under the settings. It's very basic. So I showed you the trips and the mileage, very simple. And then we're going to look at expenses. So this is the biggest part, okay? So that's where this, well, most of this number comes from, my expenses. So it's going to total up and tally up as I enter certain expenses. It's going to total that up and create this total here, right? So I'm putting things in here like anything that I use for advertising, anytime that I have a meal with a client, anytime that I purchase any education or courses, anything that could be related to me taking deductions on my taxes at the end of the year, because I can't just go to my tax professional. And you guys, I'm a tax professional myself, so I understand when people come to me and they say, well, and I say, well, how much did you, how many miles did you travel for this particular business, or how much did you spend on meals? And they either have the receipts in boxes sitting in a pile, right? Or they don't even have the receipts at all. And so in order to write off your meals for business purposes, you know, let's use that as an example, you get 50%. So if you actually spent, you know, $1,000 on meals last year for business related expenses, then you're leaving $500 on the table. All right. So this is huge, you guys, because you really can't put that on your return if you don't have the documentation. Now you can, if you want the risk, you know, them auditing you and then them saying, okay, well, where's the documentation that you had these meals? Okay. This is why it's so important. All right. And so for those of you that are nurses that maybe aren't contractors or don't have a business, well, number one, my advice is you need to get a business. All right. Everybody knows I say that all the time. If you don't have a business, you are missing out, but that's a whole nother thing. So, but my point is, even if you are just if you just have a W-2 nursing position, this can help you in any way. All right. So to track anything that you need to track for your tax professional. So it could be, now again, we don't get those work-related expenses anymore if you're a nurse without a business, or if you're not a travel nurse, then you can use this to track anything that you need to track for tax purposes at the end of the year. Okay. But it's going to be more helpful for those nurses that have more expenses. So if you don't have a business, then I'm going to show you an easier option. You may want to, you could just write it down, or you can use a spreadsheet if you don't have a lot to document. Okay, but as you can see, with having two different businesses and a business period, you just need to document it. Okay, so I have pages upon pages, anything that I use for my websites, anything that you know, I use for helping, that's related to helping a client, marketing, and that type of thing. Those are the main things that I use it for. Any travel stuff, so parking, parking when I go to an event, taking Ubers, those type of things. All right. So again, I'll do another video on specific expenses that you can write off. But again, for nurses, travel nurses, your expenses that you're going to mainly document are your meals, your travel expenses, and anything related to your tax home. So for example, with your tax home, you could put in expenses that show that you actually are maintaining a home away from the place that you're taking your assignment. So it could be, you know, your rent. It could be payments for your utilities. I do put my utilities in here again. Why do I put mine in? Because I have a home office. So because I have a home office, I'm able to put in, you know, things that I use to maintain it. So my internet, my utilities, and that type of thing. All right. So that's what you're putting in here. Now, the cool thing about this, you can also document income as well. You can also document income as well. And then you can also filter your expenses. All right. So let's say that you want to search and you want to see how much um, how much meal you spent on meals. All right. So we're going to go to, from January to now. Oh my gosh, my phone is blowing up. All right. So from January to now, and then I'm gonna do all businesses, and then let's go and look at meals. All right, and then we're going to just apply, and then it will show that for you. All right, and it also separates it by month if you need to. So again, I use this on my app, so it's easier to just type everything in my app. It takes me about a minute or two. And then you can always edit it from your app, or you can edit it on here. Now, here's the other cool thing, and I'm going to point this out. The other part of documentation is you want to have receipts. So you want to document it, and you also want to verify or show that you paid, that you have, paid for that purchase. So you can attach a receipt from here, or you can screenshot it or whatever, and it's easiest to do it from your phone. So you just click on your phone, click add receipt. Now, I don't know why I don't have this receipt in here, because normally I do it right away. Let me see this one here. So edit, and I'll show you. Okay, so the receipt pops up here, and there you go. So I'm going to go over my tips in just a second here, but yeah, you definitely want to add your receipt and have that attached to each transaction or each documented event. Okay. So the other thing is, and the last thing I want to say about using this tool is the reports part. So when it comes time for you to see your tax professional, yay, okay, it's going to be so exciting, right? It's tax time. You got to pull all your documentation together. And so they're going to love that you already have everything in line. You got your documentation, you put in who you were meeting for the meal or for the event, you put in to and where you were going to, you got your receipts in there. So all they need to do is pull a report. So you can simply do a date range and say from January 2019 to December 2019, I want to pull up my report. And you can also categorize it per assignment or per business, okay, or personal, right? You can use this for anything that you want to use it for, so that everything's all in one spot. All right. So that is very, very, very beneficial, because now once you download that report, I believe it will email it to you, but it'll also I think it mainly emails it to you, and then you can pull that report and then send it to your tax professional. Easy, easy, easy. You can do profit and loss statements. All right. So you can filter it, and you can show your profit and loss per month, or whatever date range that you want to, and then per business or per assignment. Okay. You can show you can get various reports. All right. So you guys can play around with that and see how the reports work out. But the main part I want you to see is you have to document your expenses. If you are counting on getting deductions for your nursing assignments, for your nursing business, if you have a networking company, I know a lot of nurses that also are in networking companies, or they sell products, or they do other things. Most people, I learned, they don't understand what they need to be tracking and how to track it. They just go ahead and they start a business, and they're like, oh, they say I need to start a business so I can get these tax deductions. It does not work that way. If you're not documenting and showing that you are actively participating in your business, then it's like you're not running a business at all. Okay, or at least you don't even know where you're going, because you can't really see where you're profiting and if you have any losses, or where you need to make changes at. So you got to have documentation. Now, okay, so here are my 5 tips, and I'm gonna pull them up so I don't forget. All right, so my 5 tips. The main thing is, okay, this is important. You want to have a day of the week or a day of the month that you're going to use to pull your documentation together. So what I do is I have a folder. All right, I have a folder that I put, or you could be a box or whatever. that you put the receipts in as I go throughout the week. All right, you don't want to let that box sit for a couple months. The most people will let it sit for the whole year. That's not good. All right, but have one that you can at least have somewhere to put them until you take pictures of them. All right, or until you want to go ahead and organize them and put them in your tax spot. So I usually do it monthly just because it doesn't take me very long, but at the end of every month, I go through and I will, where you see this classification, where it says classify now, I'll show you guys that in a second here. So I'll have them in a box and then I will go ahead and classify and match it to the actual transaction. So you can take pictures of them right away and document it, or you can save them for the week or for the month, but have a plan. If you don't have a plan, it's not going to work. You can't just download the tax spot and say, I'm going to put it in there whenever. What I like to do is I actually take a picture of the expense right away. So if I'm having a meal, that meal is documented before I get up from the table. And the picture is, it takes literally less than 60 seconds. You take a picture of it, you will select which category it goes in, select meals. It's very, very simple. And then you will select that it's for business. And then of course you got to put who you were having the meal with and what you were discussing. All right, so the tip is to do it right away. Everything that I buy when I'm sitting, if it's business related, I either use my business account to purchase it so that it'll automatically come into my tax spot, which that's what you see here. These are expenses that have automatically transferred into my tax spot because I purchased them with my business account. All right, that's how you want to do it. You've got to keep your personal and your business separate as far as your expenses. So again, track as you go along. Don't go more than 30 days without documenting your expenses. So that was like number 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, log things right away. And then attach your bank account, so that your business bank account, so that the expenses come right in and all you have to do is classify it. So where you see here, let me go ahead and classify one. Ooh, I don't know what this one is yet. I gotta, let's see which one. Okay, so this one right here is phone.com. So this is my line for my business line. And so I'm gonna click here, business. It already classified it because I've classified it before. And yes, this is for my tax business. And then I'm just gonna click business. And then it says, do you wanna classify without receipt? For now, I will. And just click OK. So that's what it means by classify. Unclassified expenses, they come through after you make a transaction off of your business account that is attached to your tax spot. All right, so it makes it easier that way. That way you don't have to do everything manually. All right, and so the other thing is, even when you this is tip number 5. I think I kind of like went through all of them all at once, but tip number 5 was to even if you put when you put your receipts into the tax spot, you still want to keep them. So try to keep them for, you want to keep them for 3 years minimum. If you can, you keep them for 5 years. All right, so still keep your receipts just in case. Technology is technology. It tends to be reliable, but just in case, you want to make sure that you are double protected. All right, as far as if you get audited or need to come up with proof that you have used these expenses. Now, especially if you are a travel nurse, under the income part, if you click income, you can also document that as well. I know I focus on the expenses, but especially if you're getting those tax-free stipends as income or tax-free income, and you can do this however you want. You can document your taxable income, which is that base pay or whatever that you get, and then you can document any stipends that you get separately. I know nurses or the travel nurses get a lot of different income in different ways, and so you can also document that as well and track that, because you want to see where you're at. Sometimes them checks can be rolling in, right? Some nurses are making $1,500, $2,000 a week, and that income gets away from you. And it's good to understand how much you've made so far, where you're spending at, what your expenses are, and then what your bottom line is, but based off of your profit and loss. Okay, so you do want to track these things. Don't just I realize the biggest thing people do, or mistake, is they make a lot of money, right? As nurses, we make a lot of money. We have a lot of money coming in, but we don't understand what's going out, right? What our expenses are, how much we're actually keeping is very, very important. Not only that, by using this tool, like I said, it's going to help you to keep more of your money. All right. I can't say that enough. We just don't want to take the time. It does take a little bit of time. I have to say that it's not a tool where, your expenses just kind of come in and it does it on its own. You have to categorize it. You do have to tell it what type of expense it is, and you do have to take a quick picture of the receipts. But other than that, it saves you a lot of time at the end of the year from having to scrounge through and try to think about, oh, where did I go? Where did I go? Who was I talking to here? What was this business event about? How much did I spend here? It's already in there. And now you have the data that you can sort and see and then plan for next year based off of what you did this year. All right. Because if you don't have the data and the information, it's hard for you to plan next year so that you could potentially lower your tax liability and your tax bill for the following year. All right. But by tracking what you need to in 2019, it's going to help you to really maximize your return, okay, moving forward. So just want to make a quick note here as well that this isn't the only tool. I'm not getting paid or anything to share or train on this tool, but just know that there are other tools as well that are free. Now, QuickBooks Self-Employed, it is a cost, and let's see, I think it's $10 a month as well. So you can do QuickBooks Self-Employed, but QuickBooks has a little more detailed. There's some more features in it. So if you have a business, you maybe want to consider the QuickBooks Self-Employed. You can also do send like invoices if you're doing invoices and things like that, depending on what business you have. So it's another option, but I'll show you another quick option. I was doing a spreadsheet. So for those spreadsheet lovers out there, I actually love spreadsheets. So I made this quick one that I actually used for 2018. And it just has my expenses categorized based off of what I use. So guys, customization is key. If you understand your business and what you're spending on and what you need to track so that you can deduct things, then it's easier for you. So these were my expenses. I separated them by home costs, by marketing costs, and by business tools that I use, and so on and so forth, and kind of just created a little color code here. So that every month, what I would do is it literally would just take me, again, I had that one day at the end of the month that I would go through and I would just drop in my expense. So for my utilities and all of that, what I spent for that, any tools that I had, etc. All right, so it can be very simple depending on how much expenses you have. If you're a nurse and you only travel, you don't really need to track it, then that's fine. Or you don't have a lot to track, just write it on paper, or you can use a simple spreadsheet. All right, but I love this tool for the using the TaxBot if you have a lot of expenses. So that's all that I have pretty much for this tool. And if you guys have any questions, just inbox me. I'll put my information below, or drop a comment or send a message. But what I want you guys to do is, if you are a nurse, again, if you're a nurse and you don't have a way to track your expenses, and you are traveling, or you're a home health nurse, or you are just a W-2 employee nurse and you're not sure what you need to be tracking or how you can track it, or you would just really need a system to better organize, go ahead and click the link below and schedule a consultation with me. We can do a 15-minute talk, or we can just do a consultation to really see what you're needing to really help position yourself to really track everything that you need so you can get the most out of your tax return for this upcoming year. Okay, it is so important. If you have any questions about the getting this for free with the financial program that I also have, I'll post that link below if you want to see the full program and what it entails. And again, make sure that you like my if you're seeing this on YouTube, make sure you like my page or subscribe to my page. And then I want you guys to post below. Okay, I really want to interact with you all. Let me know in the comments, whether you're seeing this on Facebook or YouTube, what your current struggles are with tracking your expenses, and then what you're using, or if you're not using anything. Okay, I want to know what type of nurse you are, what you're using to track your expenses currently, and if you're having any challenges with that. So I'll be looking forward to hear you guys' responses. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, this is Tracy Jackson, the Tax Savvy Nurse, and I help other nurses and health professionals to really pay the least amount in taxes and to increase their cash flow. So I will see you guys on the next video.